Coming up next on the Conscious Courage podcast.
Progressive muscle relaxation, which is a technique that involves tensing and then slowly relaxing different muscle groups in your body. And this practice helps you to become more aware of the physical sensations and can reduce the physical symptoms of anxiety. So you want to start by tensing the muscle in your toes. I squeeze my hand, y'all. Tensing the muscle in your toes. Hold for a few seconds and then releasing. And gradually move on up your body, ending with the muscles in your face and head. And then you can practice this to promote relaxation and ease anxiety. Good morning. Welcome to the Conscious Courage podcast, and sing it with me. Happy Motivational Monday. I am your host, Davone'a. I meet with you all every Monday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to provide practical steps toward our inner healing journey, or what I've coined internal glow up. Whether you're here as a first-time listener or returning, thank you for tuning in. The team and I are grateful to every subscriber via YouTube and every listener via Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, as well as Spotify. With a special shout out to all of our IGU babes keeping up with us on social media on all platforms at CC Podcast with DT. Y'all are locked in and we are too hyped to have you here, all right? Now, ensure to listen on through so you can receive those practical steps as well as any announcements that we may have. Let's dive on into today's episode. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Monday, y'all. This is episode 20. So I took a break last week and instead aired the bonus part 2 interview I did with Miss Black Florida USA 2024, Miss Stephanie Morales. Now, diving on back into our topic. So let me recap. Episode 19 was all about understanding anxiety disorders. And in that episode, I brought to you the foundations of anxiety, exploring anxiety, as well as providing you with the definition of anxiety. Now, if you didn't watch it, don't worry, I got you. So anxiety is the emotion characterized by feelings of tension, worried thoughts, and physical changes, according to the Diagnostic Statistical Manual number 5 or edition 5. I explain anxiety as what if. So trying to fill in the what ifs, or wanting to be in control of what is to come, and therefore overthinking and filling in those what ifs, or concerned about what has already passed. It's rooted in my definition, rejection, fear, control, and probably some other things out there. Now, in episode 19, I also brought to you some various types of anxiety disorders. So we discuss generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorders, as well as social anxiety disorder. I included some psychological perspective in how anxiety can result from genetic and brain chemistry, as well as personality and or life events, with triggers ranging from stress and traumas to significant life changes. I also brought scripture into the mix, and that is Philippians chapter 4 verses 6 through 7, which encourages us to be present and not anxious, because God is with us, and through our prayer and our trust in him, we can have peace. So the scripture is not verbatim, but like to be anxious for nothing, but through everything, through prayer and supplication, make your petitions made known to God. And the peace which surpasses all understanding will something. I can't recall it verbatim right now. So go and read Philippians chapter 4 verses 6 through 7. In addition to that, I provided you with some practical steps, and those practical steps consisted of deep breathing. I went over the difference of breathing from your chest versus your abdomen. Also, did you know limiting caffeine intake can assist you in decreasing anxiety? I didn't know that until I did some reading for this here topic. Or also you can seek some professional help, going to your church, prayer, fasting, spending time in the word. Now, in today's episode, August 2022, 2024, I am building on episode 19 that was released in August, or I'm looking at my calendar, on August 5th, 2024. And we're focusing on how to recognize the signs of anxiety as well as exploring coping mechanisms and treatment options. So because I did not present to you an episode on August 12th, I am bringing August 12th and August 22nd. Maybe something good is going to happen August 22nd. I don't know. So August 19th and August 12th are all combined into this one episode. And that is recognizing the signs of anxiety and exploring the coping mechanisms. As I just mentioned, understanding how anxiety can show up in our bodies and our mind, and that it is crucial in managing those feelings and expressions effectively. That little week off, baby, I'm a little rusty. So identifying signs of anxiety. We have physical symptoms of anxiety or physical signs of anxiety. And those often begin with physical symptoms that can be both alarming or confusing. And they might show up in the area, or you may have heard this explained as fight or flight responses when an actual threat is present. But there are times in which our body responds in that fight or flight and there isn't a threat present. But because of the thoughts of what if, we will, I don't want to use the word trigger, but the brain is like a computer. And so there is a code in it, and that code brings you to fight or flight. Let's say it's F1 control. You're thinking about something. You're thinking about that job interview, that paper, that question that you want to ask, the question that you do not want to receive an answer to, those test results, whatever the case may be. And your brain automatically goes, worry, control F1, control F2, control F1, F2, and F3, anxiety all over the place. Not because there is a present threat like a bear in front of you, but because of the thought that is going on, and our brain cannot tell the difference between, okay, we're just thinking, we're just worried. This is anxiety versus reality. And so it just shows up in the way that it was programmed to do. Now, what you may experience in your body is an increased heart rate. And that's one of the most common physical symptoms of anxiety. And that is a rapid heart rate. You also can experience sweating. So anxiety can trigger your body's sweat glands, leading to excessive sweating, even in cool environments like that cold conference room where you're about to give your first presentation or in the classroom. You also can experience trembling or shaking, and that can show up when you're having that panic attack or a panic attack. And this can be involuntary, like uncontrolled. Like you cannot control right now that your hands are shaking or your body is shaking or that your heart is racing. And this can be subtle or quite pronounced depending on the intensity of the anxiety. You could also experience shortness of breath, have experienced anxiety, report that they can't catch their breath or that they are breathing too quickly, as in they're hyperventilating. This symptom can mimic the feeling of suffocation, contributing to the overall sense of panic, hence panic attack. And I gave my example in episode 19 that aired on August 5th. And the time in which I would say I experienced a panic attack and how I was hyperventilating, trying to catch my breath and I just, it was like my body had took control and I was not in control of how I was responding at that moment. A person can also experience dizziness. So these are some physical symptoms that are important because your body is talking to you and it is showing you or revealing or saying, hey, sir, hey, ma'am, I'm under stress right now. And recognizing this, then you can take the first step to managing that anxiety. And it's crucial to remember that these responses, while uncomfortable, are not dangerous and are simply your body's way of preparing to deal with the perceived danger. Remember that code? Control F1, control F2. Don't get too anxious, baby. Now you at control F1, F2, and F3. because your body has perceived something to be danger, although it is not. Now let's transition on into emotional and behavioral symptoms. So anxiety doesn't just affect your body. It also has a profound impact on your emotional state as well as your behavior. And these symptoms can be more challenging to identify because they often build up gradually and they may be dismissed as part of your personality or your everyday stress. There's someone I know and that individual says, like, I live on stress. Like, I'm always stressed. I'm always stressed. And I was like, stop speaking that over your life and shift your focus. You don't have to live in a state of stress in order to be productive, or you don't have to live in that state of stress in order to feel alive. Now, the feeling of impending doom. Oh my goodness. This emotional symptom is characterized by a persistent yet vague sense that something bad is going to happen, even when there is no evidence to support this belief. It is a hallmark of anxiety and can lead to constant worry and fear. Caveat. Now, spirit of discernment, okay? There are times in which I was feeling concerned about a matter. There wasn't a clear reason for me. Like there wasn't not profound. What do I want to say? There wasn't an evident reason for me to feel what I was feeling. But I'm of the thought that through discernment, the Holy Spirit was communicating with me and that, hey, something isn't right here. And that this may not go in your favor, or that may not work out the way you are under the impression that it will. And guess what? Sometimes that feeling is not anxiety, it's that discernment. And it's like when the things come to pass or they don't come to pass, like, oh wow, I remember feeling like X, Y, and Z, and now I'm here. Okay, that was me receiving that prelude, but just an awareness that, hey, this is bound to happen. And now that it's coming to pass, just know that insight was already given. So like, don't catch it. Don't be caught off guard. I'm rarely caught off guard. But anyway, thank you for the gift of discernment. Now, getting back on track, irritability. Anxiety can cause you to feel or edge or easily annoyed. The irritability can strain relationships with friends, family, and colleagues as you may snap at others or become frustrated more easily than usual. There's also the difficulty in concentrating. So when your mind is preoccupied with anxious thoughts, it can be hard to focus on task at hand because a person is so busy thinking, what if I'm going to send this email, what are they going to say back, what is going to be the temperament of, I don't know, the boss, what is going to be the temperament of this interview, what kind of questions are they going to ask me, how is this trip going to go, I've never met this family member before, I've never met this blah blah blah, or anxious because wow, I just received this large inheritance, this large lump sum of finances, and I have not had this much money before. How am I going to balance it? How am I going to spend it? It's all about filling in the how, the what, wanting to have all of the have all of the answers, and you don't have them all, but that does not mean you must be anxious about it. Let go of that control. Let go of the control and free yourself from anxiety. Now, behaviorally, anxiety can show up in ways that significantly disrupt your routine or even your quality of life. So you might experience avoidance. You might start avoiding certain situations or places that trigger your anxiety because you're seeking to protect yourself. And that's something that anxiety is doing in general. It's like seeking to protect you from something, feeling that something. And then that's when your brain starts working on overdrive, trying to find all of the solutions and all of the answers to a problem at hand that really may not be a problem in the first place. Now, this could include social events, work meetings, or even leaving the house altogether. While avoidance might provide temporary relief, it often reinforces the anxiety, making it harder to face those situations in the future. Then there's procrastination. Baby, let me tell you, I am a recovered procrastinator. Sometimes I find myself kind of reverting back to that behavior, but for the most part, I am recovered. And anxiety can lead to procrastination as a way of coping with overwhelming tasks or decisions. And what I've been telling myself more recently is like, okay, I have all this to do. Well, get after the low-hanging fruit first. Like, what can I tackle right now? All right, cool. Now let me move on to the bigger project. Or I may do it in reverse order. Okay, let me get this big project done or out the way, or at least moving, and then start knocking off that lower hanging fruit. Okay. Now a person can put off the important work to delay making decisions, which can increase the stress and create a cycle of anxiety and avoidance. And this is what just want to make you aware by that way. If you see yourself working from a place of procrastination or even avoidance, you can go, wait a minute, am I stressing out about something? Am I worrying about something? Am I becoming anxious about something? And, apply some of these practical steps to get yourself out of that funk. So changes in sleeping and eating habits. Anxiety often disrupts your sleep patterns, leading to insomnia or even frequent waking up or nightmares. Similarly, it can affect your appetite, causing you to either overeat or undereat. And these changes can further exacerbate, which worsen your anxiety, creating a feedback loop that affects both your physical and your mental well-being, because your body is trying to figure it out, and it's again working in overdrive, and it wants to protect you. And what are some ways of coping, which we'll get into that. For some, it could be eating. For some, it is going to sleep. Like, there are times in which I'm like, whew, that topic just disturbed my spirit, and I'll just go to sleep early. Like, I'm just going to sleep it off and pray about it in the morning. Something like that. Now, this is a good way for you to perform a self-assessment. And performing this self-assessment, you can identify anxiety in yourself. Identifying anxiety in yourself can be challenging, as the symptoms often overlap with other conditions or may be dismissed as general stress, right? However, there's a tool out there, the Generalized Anxiety Disorder 7-Item Scale tool, also shortened as GAD-7, and it provides a structured way to evaluate your symptoms and determine if they align with anxiety disorder. Now, this is a brief tool. You will answer some questions on it, and it will go over the past 2 weeks to determine your level. And these symptoms can include nervousness or being on edge, worrying excessively, and the results will give you a score, and that can help indicate the severity of the anxiety and whether you should seek further evaluation or treatment from a healthcare professional. Now, if you didn't watch the first episode of this mini series on anxiety, I said that yes, there is the scientific anxiety, and then there is an understanding of cosmic powers, understanding of the spirit world, understanding that there is an entity, if you will, or an energy that is associated with said scientific diagnosis, because we as human have to make something make sense, and in order for us to make it make sense, we have to give it a name, we have to give it a category. When some things are outside of science, and that might seem too deep, but for those that walk with the Lord understand what I mean, which is why he being God tells us to be anxious for nothing, which is why he as in God lets us know that he did not give us the spirit of fear, right? Or and what is rooted in anxiety can be fear, but he gave us power, love, and a sound mind. So those things that go against what we are to have, which is that joy, which is to have that peace, which is to have a peace of mind, right? The peace which surpasses all understanding, which is due unto us, which is for us to wake up and have joy and celebrate and be full of glee because we have full, fresh grace and mercy. when we are walking against what is our birthright, one must understand that it is an outside source that is bringing that in. Like if I were to come to you right now and say, look, I am going to give you, or you were birthed with happiness and joy and peace, and you were like, this is due onto you. You will receive $100 million when you're 10 years old. But everything else around you is telling you like, you are broke and you are less than, and you are this, you are that. If you don't have an understanding that at 10 years old, you will access $100 million, you will fall victim to all of this, what's going on, right? All of the naysaying, all of the negative, and you will walk in the less than, that you will never amount to anything, all of that, opposed to if I feed you and I tell you, hey, at 10, you're entering into this door and behind that door is $100 million. You're now carrying yourself with the thought and the understanding and practicing financial literacy. Yes, even at 10. Financial literacy and walking in the right path and understanding, and you're just so happy and full of joy because soon you're 9.5, and as soon as you turn 10, you have access to $100 million. You're going to move different. So I say that to say this: if you understand that who you are in God and that you are the light. Ad break. Are you seeking an electrifying speaker to ignite transformation in your audience? Well, look no further. Hi, I'm Davone'a, real estate investor, Air Force veteran, and host of the Conscious Courage podcast, where new episodes are released every Monday, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time via YouTube and all streaming audio platforms. I specialize in delivering impactful keynote speeches that inspire change and elevate your minds. Whether it's a virtual gathering or an in-person event, I bring passion, expertise, and a unique delivery to every arena or every environment that I'm in. Let's captivate your audience together and create an unforgettable experience. Contact me today to book your next event, and let's embark on this journey of transformation, or let's get all of your attendees on this journey toward internal glow up. You can book me via my website by going to www.davoneatashay.com. I'll spell that for you. It is www.DAV as in Victor, ONEATASHAE.com. I look forward to connecting with you. Take care. You will know how to combat when that anxiety or that fear or that worry comes up, because you have an understanding of where you're going and who you are in the first place. I hope that makes sense. I really hope it does, because you wouldn't worry when you know that all things work together for the good of those that love the Lord. Yes. It's not just a blanket, all things work together, baby. It's that all things work together for the good of those that love the Lord and that does his work and are obedient to his command. I want to say is the scripture. Then you move different. I have an understanding that what might look like rejection from man could really be propelling me or preparing me for a different opportunity. It really can be protection. It really can be direction. So I'm not going to be moved, right? What does the word say? That when the something flood comes, the Lord will lift up a standard. I can't think about the exact scripture right now, but knowing that, I think this is in Proverbs or in Psalms 100 verse 1, I think, when the word says for us to sit at the right hand of God, and as he will make our enemies either our footstools, or sit at the right hand of God, and like he will do something, and then enemies. So it's like when you understand that really there's no need to be worried or concerned, because all things are already working out for you. When Jeremiah 29:11 says that he knows the plans that he has for you, right? To prosper you and not to harm you, to give you a perfect peace. When it says that eyes haven't seen, ears haven't heard, nor has it entered into the hearts of men all that I have planned for you. Is that right? Or is it in store for you? Either way it goes. When you understand that there is a perfect plan out there for you, you can move a little different. You start looking different, like, okay, that didn't work out, bet something better is coming. Oh, okay, that happened. All right, it was just a lesson. Okay, let me make sure I don't forget it, put it in my tool belt and keep on going. Don't know where I'm going with this. Maybe I need to make a Bible study so I can get some of this word up out of me. But saying all this to say, okay, that when you have an understanding in the direction and who you are and who you've been called to be, then the other stuff that's distraction, the other stuff that is worry, the other stuff that is what if, the other stuff that is make believe won't be able to take control of you. Preach. Let me just go ahead and end this video right here. But to continue going, having a self-assessment will allow you to have an understanding of like your mental health, or at least where you are when you answer these questions, or at least your mental health in the last 2 weeks, because it's based off of that. And you can reflect on your symptoms and as well as consider whether they meet the criteria for an anxiety disorder, or you can gain clarity on what you're experiencing. Now we're going to shift focus and talk about some coping mechanisms and some treatment options. So there are therapeutic approaches, and that is cognitive behavioral therapy, which is a widely used, highly effective treatment for anxiety disorders because cognitive behavioral theory focuses on identifying and challenging the negative thought patterns and cognitive distortions that contribute to anxiety. So this might look like while in therapy, you are taught how to reframe these thoughts and to have a more balanced and realistic way of reducing the power of those negative thoughts and your emotions and how those emotions impact your behavior. So you will learn different coping strategies that help you manage the anxiety that is provoked in certain situations, ultimately leading to a decrease in anxiety symptoms over time and overall. And I gave the example previously, and I don't recall which episode, could have been episode 19, where I mentioned the time I was anxious to ask for time off, and the root of that was fear of being told no, and I had to overcome that. And one way I did that was I just kept rehearsing me asking the question until I built up the courage to go and ask. And guess what? That supervisor told me yes. So it just was like, girl, why did you? I had this whole scenario made up on what was going to happen, that what if, and it was not reality whatsoever. And my brain went ahead and hit Control F1 and went into its mode of fight or flight. And at that time, it was like, baby, we're going to fight by just sitting right here and not asking. We're not going to fight. Now, there's exposure therapy. And exposure therapy, so this is a second coping mechanism. And there's exposure therapy, and that is, well, not coping mechanism, but anyway, y'all stick with me. Number 2, exposure therapy is particularly useful for treating specific phobias, social anxiety disorders, or even panic disorders. And what this does is gradually and systematically will expose the said person to whatever that fear is, that object or that situation that is controlling them. And by doing this, that person can reduce their fear and anxiety associated with said object, said situation, said experience. And the goal is to desensitize that individual from the anxiety trigger, allowing the person to face without the intense emotional reaction that previously occurred. So over time, this process will help diminish the power that fear has over that individual, improving their overall quality of life. Doesn't that sound so good? Just getting rid of that control of that fear, having the understanding that you're not moving naturally. If this is a ball and this ball was made to bounce up and down, right? You're made to bounce up and down and just be happy and joy filled. And not that life is always great, because it isn't, but you're made to be resilient. And then here comes anxiety, or here comes fear, and it's causing you to be compressed. Now you can't get up and do what you're supposed to do. You're made to come up here. You're made to go higher. You're made to recover, but you have this here compression of fear, this here compression of worry, this here compression of lack, this here compression of doubt. And now you can't do exactly what it is that you need to do. But once you've been exposed to, hey, that's just a compression, and the more exposure you have, well, look at you getting stronger and stronger and being able to move that out of the way until boop, it's no longer even prevalent. Like, and then you're no longer worried. Like, hopefully that visual makes sense. I don't know. I love doing this. It's a couple of things that are out there that only a pharmacist could really talk to, and I'm not a pharmacist, so I'm not going to speak to it. Then there are some lifestyle changes that can cause stressors, and with that being said, on the opposite end, there are also lifestyle changes that a person can make to help mitigate that stress and or anxiety. And that looks like diet and dieting. And in episode 19, I mentioned limiting caffeine, which that was news to me, but limiting caffeine to keep from not exacerbating, but increasing the anxious behavior. Now, what you eat can influence your anxiety levels. So a balanced diet that includes foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids, such as fish or flax seeds, or even magnesium, which is found in leafy greens and nuts and other essential nutrients, can support brain health and reduce anxiety. It's also important to limit or avoid caffeine and sugar because they can exacerbate the anxiety. Exacerbate, again, simply means like to worsen, to make worse. Caffeine in particular is a stimulant, all right, that can increase your heart rate and mimic anxiety symptoms, while high sugar intake can lead to energy spikes and crashes that often can affect your mood stability. Now, you want to have regular exercise. Look, I used to work out Monday through Friday, sometimes Monday through Saturday, baby, heavy. Especially when I had a workout group, we would go to the gym. We were doing cardio for an hour, and then we would shift and we would lift weights for an hour, and then I would go to work. Working out in the morning feels amazing. Okay, if you haven't done it, just give it a try. I don't care if you go down and you do 2 push-ups and then you do 2 jumping jacks, okay, and then you do 2 crunches. You will feel great. All right. Do what you can do, even if it's just 1. But it feels so good. As of late, I haven't been able to do it. It just doesn't work with my schedule. But working out, all right, it's literally like just free endorphins, free happiness for you. So engaging in physical activity is one of the most effective ways to reduce anxiety. You can go for a walk. Go outside. All right, go outside. You also can have good sleep hygiene, which just looks like sticking to a schedule. Not being on your phone right before bed, okay? Not doing any of those things. So this might include setting a regular sleep schedule, avoiding screens before bed. So that also means watching TV for those who watch TV, or playing on your laptop, or video gaming. Like, cut all that off. I challenge you to cut it all off like an hour before bed and see how you start to feel. And then when you wake up, give yourself some people really get on the phone and they're a little addicted. So if I were to say give yourself an hour, that may be too much. So start small. Give yourself 15 minutes before, literally let your alarm go off. You might use your cell phone, turn it off. Go to the bathroom, right? Stretch a little bit. Then go to the bathroom. Do what you need to do. Make sure you wash your hands. Maybe you want to walk to the kitchen because you're a person who drinks that caffeine that we were talking about. So you want to turn on your little coffee pot, or you want to pop your food in the microwave or whatever, right? By this time, a good 12 to 15 minutes pass, and then go back to your phone. For others that are a lot more advanced, maybe you challenge yourself to simply just turn off the alarm and put your phone down, and you don't look back at it until you get out the door. Maybe that's an hour, 45 minutes, whatever the case may be. But limiting that exposure to the screens and ensuring that you get enough sleep will help to stabilize your mood as well as reduce anxiety throughout the day. Now, here are some practical steps for you, and then we're closing this here out. There is progressive muscle relaxation, which is a technique that involves tensing and then slowly relaxing different muscle groups in your body. And this practice helps you to become more aware of the physical sensations and can reduce the physical symptoms of anxiety. So you want to start by tensing the muscle in your toes. I squeeze my hands, y'all. Tensing the muscle in your toes. Hold for a few seconds and then releasing. And gradually move on up your body, ending with the muscles in your face and head. And then you can practice this to promote relaxation and ease anxiety. So you want to limit. Another practical step is limiting your screen time. As I just mentioned, you can also establish a relaxation routine, maybe an hour out of the day, 30 minutes out of the day, you decompress, you woosah, or create a daily relaxation routine that includes activities like deep breathing, stretching, listening to calming music, or just taking a warm bath. That's been me lately. I'm like, dang, all I do is take showers. And I feel like people who only take showers sometimes might be in a rush. Unless it's a man. I know some men don't sit in the bathtub. So I made myself take a bath. Like, no, girl, go back to your first love. Run you some bath water and you sit up in there. And it's okay. Showering, you just be like, in a rush. Got to do what you got to do. You got to keep on going. It's just like you're always moving. Whereas a bath just allows you to relax, right? Now, don't forget this here. Dare I say, it's like the most important practical step, and that is connecting with your support system. You want to remain in contact with those that support you. Also, practicing gratitude. So incorporate gratitude into your daily routine, in which can shift your focus from the anxiety-provoking thoughts to positive ones. And take a few moments each day to write down or just mentally take a note of the things that you are grateful for. So if there's a time in which I am anxious, anything that follows I am. So if there's a time in which anxious behavior is rising on up or stress is rising on up, I am present enough with my body. I will almost say subconsciously that my body will automatically will go into decompress mode. There's also time management. Now I'm gonna get on out of that. There's also time management. So poor management can increase stress and anxiety, right? That goes back to procrastination. But when you prioritize your task and you set the realistic goals and you break those large projects into smaller ones, where's the anxiety gonna come up from? You can just, it's smooth sailing. All right. You also want to stay hydrated, whereas hydration can affect your mood and it also worsen the anxiety symptoms. So ensure that you're drinking enough water throughout the day to stay hydrated, which can help you maintain your physical as well as mental health. So this episode was good. It's 2 topics mixed on into one. And you should be able to walk away here having an understanding of anxiety, some of the steps that you can take at the surface level and managing anxiety. Healing is a journey. Okay, let me remind you that healing is a journey. This is a journey overall as you begin to learn more about yourself, love yourself, allow that inner child to heal, as I spoke on in the month of July. Go back and listen to those episodes if you did not, especially the special guest that we had, the licensed professional counselor, Mrs. Siobhan Gray. So good. And progress deserves to be celebrated. So celebrate yourself as you are progressing in this here journey, or what I call, y'all know, the internal glow up, as you continue to dive deep into yourself. Be patient and understanding. Be a friend to yourself the same way you would want to be a friend to someone else that's going through the same way you are a friend to someone else going through the situation. Hopefully I'm saying that right. So I need y'all to do 4 things, and that is to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment or a review, right? Just 4 of them things. Do that for me, please. I do not mind. You can definitely come back and join next week, which is August 26th, as we conclude this mini series. And I might bring it back, because looking at the interaction I've received on this particular topic, especially on social media, I'm like, wait, people are tuning in. And I think because anxiety is a hot topic at this time, that having not an answer, but a guide, if you will, a source that you can go to, in which I'm bringing you practical steps, and it's more on the glass half full versus half empty, more positive than anything else. You can look at is, or people may look at it and go, okay, I'm willing to hear what it is that this person is saying, because I'm not pushing prescription. I'm not pushing, I don't know what else people may be out there pushing, but I'm not pushing that. Okay. I am pushing internal glow up. So come back and see your girl. And that's it. I'm hoping that y'all enjoying this, because I enjoy it and I miss it when I don't make a recording. So take care. I'll talk to y'all later. I love you. See you next week. Disclaimer: as a content creator with a background in psychology and ongoing studies, it's imperative that I note and clarify that I am not a licensed professional. The videos and podcasts I produce are intended for educational, entertainment, and transformational purposes only. While I strive to provide accurate information and insights, it's essential to consult with a licensed mental health clinician or a licensed mental health professional for clinical perspectives and personalized advice tailored to your specific needs. Your mental well-being is of the utmost importance to me, and seeking guidance from a qualified provider is encouraged for any concerns or issues that you may be experiencing.